Hey, what's up guys, BigTuna here, and today we actually have an interesting video talking about some new and creative spells that I've come up with over the past day that can hopefully inspire some ideas that you can hopefully see in Dragonflight. You know, the whole topic and the whole fantasy of having new and creative spells has eluded us for many expansions now. You know, I thought I'd give it a crack and come up with some new and exciting spells that can hopefully, get you guys pumped and excited, and maybe even share the idea on Twitter or YouTube, whatever it is. Just get some attention and, get some traction going here, because I think it's it's a pretty cool idea to have some new and exciting spells that can rejuvenate a lot of these classes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys agree and like the spells I've come up with, I'm definitely going to be coming up with new spells, and this is going to be part 1 of 2, so part 2 will have the other classes that I've come up with. But yeah, if you guys like the video, please like the video and subscribe, and if you guys have any ideas of your own, definitely leave them in the comment section, and let's get right into the video. Alright, first we have the Shaman, my love, my main, my class forever and always. Let's go down the list here, shall we? So first we have Enhancement Shaman, Rage of the Fire Lord. Equip the legendary hammer Sulfuras for 10 seconds. While equipped, your Lava Lash deals 100% increased damage and cleaves to nearby enemies for 80% of the damage dealt. Stormbringer and Wind Fury have a 40% increased proc chance, and attacks with Sulfuras have a chance to launch a ball of fire at the target for 8k damage. Obviously, this is, an ability that is inspired from Classic, with the actual weapon Sulfuras and actual Enhancement Shaman back in, Classic times, where you could use two-handed weapons and you could use Sulfuras, and Sulfuras do a lot of damage, and Wind Fury did a lot of damage, and yes, it lobbed balls of fire at your target, dealing a lot of damage. So that's kind of where this ability comes from. Obviously, we're never going to get two-handed enhancement back, but if we can just get it for just at least like 10 seconds on like a 1.5 minute cooldown, at least just get a little bit of nostalgia for 10 seconds, I think it'll be pretty cool. So, and I think it's creative. I don't think we've really seen an ability like that where you actually equip a weapon that's in the lore / has been in the game. Don't really think there's a lot of spells like that, but let's keep on going. Shaman, Elemental Attunement. Unleash the power of all elements to you and 3 other party members for 15 seconds. Each element grants a different effect. This is going to be a long one. So fire, spells / melee swings burn a target and have a chance to erupt with flames, increasing your damage by 15%, decreasing every second. Lightning, have a chance to charge you with lightning, increasing your haste by 3%, stacking up 4 times. Earth, have a chance to grant you 10% damage reduction, stacking up 3 times. Water, heal all party members for 15% of the damage / healing done, and have a chance to cause a downpour of water on the lowest HP target, healing them and granting them a 20% increased healing received. Frost, summon a frost giant that constantly throws boulders of ice at enemies that deal damage and slows all targets hit by 15%, stacking up 4 times. Wind, increase your dodge chance by 10% and increase movement speed by 30%. This one is just kind of, will in my mind act like a Fey Guardian for priests. If you're the Night Fae Covenant, this will kind of act the same way of just granting buffs to your to your allies, getting granted different buffs like fire or lightning or earth, frost, stuff like that. I think it's a pretty creative ability, grant buffs to your party members. Abilities like that were always really fascinating to me, because buffs are just something that's been in the game for all this time, and in retail, buffs are just meaningless stuff like Power Word Fortitude or like Battle Shout. Like that stuff's like, it doesn't really matter anymore. So stuff like this, I kind of wanted to make at least one ability kind of take that aspect of granting your team, pretty meaningful buffs. So let's keep on going. Shaman, Fury of the Storm. 50% of lightning bolt damage is stored in a lightning rod. Once you have casted 10 lightning bolts, unleash the lightning rod upon the target for all the damage that was stored. This probably will most likely, work with Enhancement Shaman than Elemental, because Lightning Bolt doesn't really do that much damage for Elemental unless you have Stormkeeper. So this is most likely a Enhancement Shaman talent. but this one takes after kind of like Storm Blast from Mop, so that's kind of where I got the idea from. But let's keep on going. Enhancement Shaman, Fist of Stone. Summon a rock hand that grabs and crushes the target, stunning them for 4 seconds. After this effect is over, summon a large lightning bolt from the sky to crash upon your target, dealing damage and increasing their nature damage taken by 20% for 5 seconds. Now, obviously, as I said, these abilities take inspiration from not only old abilities that were in the game, but actual lore and lore events that happen in the game. This one, if you couldn't guess already, this is most likely taking from the WoD cinematic where Thrall versus Garrosh, which Thrall cheated by the way. Thrall summoned a rock hand that crushed Garrosh, and he summoned a lightning bolt that killed Garrosh. So I kind of wanted to tap into that little lore scene right there and add an ability that's pretty much just like it. Alright, that is all we got for Shaman. Now let's move on to the next class on our list. Alright guys, we have Druid. Let's hope I can make some Druid boys happy with these abilities. So first up we got, mostly for balanced Druid, Ancient's Wrath. Invoke the spirit of the War Ancient, smashing the ground around you, dealing damage, and knocking up all enemies in a 20-yard radius, granting you a 15% absorb shield if used below 35% HP. This one was definitely more focused towards like actual animation. I thought it'd be pretty cool to just, take form of, one of the War Ancients that was in the War of the Ancients, the Night Elves versus, the Burning Legion. Just summon one of those big bad tree mofos, just smash the ground and give you a little bit of a defensive boost. So, unfortunately, it does sound too Blizzardy, but for this ability, I was really thinking more of like the actual animation than the actual effect itself, but who knows, maybe Druids like it, I don't know. Let's go down here. So, oh boy, Feral Druid, Curse of Goldrin. Give in to the bloodlust and rage of Goldrin, taking the form of the Wild God for 30 seconds. While in this form, gain 30% leech, 1% haste, and 2% damage increase for every combo point spent. During this form, every 10 seconds, you let out a loud roar that makes all allies within 30 yards cooldowns to recover 40% faster for 4 seconds. Now, I'm surprised we don't really have an ability that's after Goldrin. If you don't know who Goldrin is one of the wild gods, and I think is the most strongest wild god out of all of them. Wild gods being stuff like the August Celestials, the Pandaren, like Zuan and all that stuff in the Loa. So Goldrin's tooth was actually made to make the Scythe of Elune, and Goldrin was the main aspect of Pack form, which is a Druid shapeshift form that was banned long ago because Druid gave in to bloodlust and all that stuff, and so they banned that form. So this is what this ability is kind of taking after Goldrin and the whole Pack form. So I just thought it'd be a cool idea to implement Goldrin into one of these abilities, because I don't know why we haven't seen him in any ability. So it's really interesting, to be honest. But let's move on. Balanced Druid, probably one of my favorite ones actually. Night Warrior. Take form as the aspect of a loon for 30 seconds. In this form, your Moonfire and Sunfire take 50% faster and have a chance to summon a full moon and a cruel sun for 50% of its normal damage. Your Wrath and Starfire have a 40% chance with each cast to become instant and transformed. Instant Wrath turns into a solar flare, dealing more damage and increasing your Sunfire damage by 40%, and instant Starfires turn into a supernova, dealing large AoE damage and increasing your Moonfire damage by 40%. Golly! So if you're wondering what Cruel Sun is, I just thought it sounded cool, because if you have full moon, you gotta have like a sun, so I just named it Cruel Sun after, an anime. So, maybe that could be a new talent, Cruel Sun, basically like full moon, but just have a different effect. I don't know, maybe I might come up with something. But, again, Night Warrior is a big part of the lore, especially as of recently with, Tyrande granting or, taking the form of the Night Warrior, Elune's power, and, the whole thing with her and Ysera and the Winter Queen, stuff like that. So, I'm surprised, again, that also isn't an ability that's coming in Dragonflight. So, hopefully we can see something like that for all the Druid boys out there. But yeah, that's all we got for Druid. Let's move on to our next class. Alrighty, we got Monk. Let's see if I can make any Monk boys happy here. So, Windwalker Monk, Fist of the Thundering Serpent. Charge your fist with the aspect of the Thundering Cloud Serpent, dealing damage based on how long you've charged this ability and charge you to the target. Once the target is reached, apply a debuff that increases their damage taken from all sources by 20% for 10 seconds. If you get interrupted, this ability will automatically release. So, in my mind, animation wise, like a literal Thundering Cloud Serpent just, wrapping around your fist, like how cool would that be? But also in my mind, I kind of thought this would work as the like the evoker abilities, where they charge their abilities and each bracket they fill out, it'll obviously do more damage / healing. So that's kind of what I thought this Fist of the Thundering Serpent would work like. So I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. Let's move on to what we got here, because I think some of these will make you laugh. So Monk, Drunken Fist. Take a sip of ale, increasing your dodge chance by 50%. Your attacks have a 20% chance to strike faster than your enemy can see, striking up to 2 more times for 30% of the damage dealt. I'm surprised we don't have a Drunken Fist ability, considering that monks are A, drunk, and B, Drunken Fist is an actual fighting style. So if you see anybody like on the street who actually uses Drunken Stance, stay the hell away from them, because they're most likely gonna they're gonna give you the smoke in a badass but also embarrassing way. So I'm surprised we don't really have a Drunken Fist in WoW right now. So let's keep on going. Monk, Wandering Protector. Channel the power of Shenzin Su to form a turtle shell that will protect you for 8 seconds. While protected, you take 50% reduced damage and heal for 25% of all damage dealt to you. If you fall below 20% HP, the shell will explode with magical energy, knocking players back and granting you a 15% absorb shield for 3 seconds, usable while stunned. So if you don't know who Shenzin Su is the turtle that carries the Wandering Isles. The Wandering Isles being the Pandaren starting zone. If you've done the Pandaren starting quest line, yada yada, you kind of have to if you make a Pandaren. But, the actual Wandering Isles itself is a turtle. His name is Shenzin Su. So I kind of just thought that would be nice to have to add a defensive cooldown that, that is basically Shenzin Su kind of inspired. So yeah, I just thought it'd be pretty cool. A little bit of like a different type of defensive than just like your standard, hey, take 40% reduced damage. Like, no, I have some like other interesting effects to it. Make it creative, make it nice. Misty Rib Monk, Vermilion Chiji. Take the stance of the Vermilion Bird and summon a gust of wind that engulfs your target, dealing damage and sundering their defenses, taking 30% increased damage. Your target will also be knocked high up into the air, unable to use their abilities until they reach the ground. So I just thought it'd be pretty cool to just, take a, however Blizzard wants to make the animation, but take a certain stance that, just summons a giant tornado or gust of wind that just, engulfs their target and, sends them high up into the air, and they can't really cast any of their abilities until they, reach ground level. So I just kind of thought that would be cool, especially for Mystery Rib Monks, to get some melee off of them. But, yeah, I think it was pretty, it was more cooler in my head, but now that I'm reading it, it doesn't seem as cool, but, I think it still sounds, pretty rad. I don't know. So another kind of cool one, Windwalker Monk, Aikido Stance. Take the Aikido Stance for 12 seconds. While in the stance, melee attacks against you have a 40% chance to be completely mitigated and strike the attacker for damage equal to your Tiger's Paw. So if you don't know what Aikido Stance is, Aikido is a form of martial arts that uses your opponent's strength and, uses their own attributes like strength and speed against them. So it's more of a martial arts to actually, ensure peace within oneself rather than actual like violence and stuff. So I'm surprised that monks don't actually have more abilities that are actually, practiced in real life, because they do have some, abilities that actually represent, real life monks, like, Karma, Touch of Death. That is all practiced in some way or form in actual, cultures and stuff. So I'm surprised they haven't really added like actual martial arts stance. It's like stances and everything. So yeah, Aikido stances. I just thought it'd be pretty cool to implement this in WoW. And our last one for Monk, which is Demolition Fist. A Quickly ascend into the air and discharge the energy of Zuen in the form of a fist onto your target. Strike up to 3 other targets in a 15-yard radius for 50% of the damage dealt, and cast either Eye of the Tiger, Chi Wave, or Chi Burst onto all targets with 100% increased effectiveness. So I just thought it'd be pretty cool to just legit go, ascend it up into the air, probably at the same level as like stuff like Raid from Above, or I don't know what the Holy Priest ability is that flies you into the air, but probably I like that level, and just summon a literal giant fist just crashing upon your enemy, and then just using Chi Wave or Chi Burst or Eye of the Tiger. They're all in the same row, so it'll have to pick one of them, whatever you're spec'ing to, and to just increase the effectiveness by 100%. I don't know, I just thought it'd be pretty interesting to, to have this ability not only look cool, but also synergize with other talents in your talent tree. So I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, let's move on to our next class. Oh boy, we got Demon Hunters. Honestly, I don't really think Demon Hunters are like that. Personally, I'm not favored towards Demon Hunters that much, so if these abilities are really lackluster, I do apologize, and hopefully you guys can come up with stuff better. But I just try to come up with stuff that I found was pretty decent, because I don't really find Demon Hunters too amazing, but hopefully you guys like what I came up with. So first we got Hell Flare. Flare your wings with Fell Fire for 20 seconds. Every 5 seconds, emit fell flames in front of you, dealing damage to up to 5 targets. If you are stunned, increase the damage of your Immolation Aura by 50% for the duration of the stun. So I just thought it'd be cool. Again, probably the biggest, coolest thing that Demon Hunters have is their wings. Their wings are awesome. So to have like your wings just be flared up with fell or like dark energy, while you're in combat, I think was pretty cool. So that's where Hell Flare kind of took some inspiration from. But yeah, let's move on. So next we got Sargerite Keystone Fragment. Crush a Sargerite Keystone to open a portal for 4 seconds that you can enter. While in this portal, you are untargetable and invisible to the enemy team, and your movement speed is increased by 50%. After 4 seconds, you will reappear where you are currently standing. So this takes form from 2 things. One, a trinket from BFA that would open a portal and you'd walk around wherever you'd want to go, and wherever you were, that's where you would be spat out after X amount of seconds. And another one is that yes, our Sargerite Keystone in lore is a keystone that can open gateways and portals to vast, I don't know if it's like different worlds, but it opens a portal that you go through and you can go pretty much anywhere. So I just thought that would be a pretty interesting ability from lore to add to the actual class. So I don't know, I thought it was pretty nice. And then lastly we got Fist of Sargeras. Ooh, why did I say that so weird? An image of the Dark Titan's fist crashes upon the ground, striking all enemies in the target location and knocking them down for 2 seconds. 3 flames of Azzinoth spawn from the ground and attack the target for 8 seconds. When flames of Azzinoth expire, increase the damage of your next I-beam by 20%. But yeah, let's move on to our next class. Alright, we got Priest. Let's see if I can make any priests happy with this. So first we got Fallen Angel. When you fall below 20% HP, summon a fallen angel that crashes upon your foes. If there are at least 2 targets within 20 yards of you, the fallen angel crashes upon them and knocks them away, grants you a 20% absorb shield. If there are no enemies within 20 yards, then target the farthest enemy's 40-yard cap and stun at least 2 targets for 3 seconds, and granting you a 30% increased movement speed. I thought it was cool to legit just have like a fallen angel just crash, body slam, like, your targets. So I thought it was pretty cool. Let's move on. So we got Whispers of the Old Ones. Influence the Whispers of the Old Ones to 3 enemies, applying dark thoughts to them. After 3 seconds, they erupt with negative thoughts that deal damage and summon orbs that contain the negativity and hatred. Allies that pass through these orbs gain a 5% increase of all stats for 6 seconds, stacking up 2 times. So again, the old gods, there aren't really that, I don't think there are any like old god-esque abilities for Shadow Priest, which again is mind-boggling. There are such, massive, impactful lore characters / events that are all throughout WoW, and none of them are actually like within the actual class abilities. It's really strange, to be honest, and it's honestly disappointing because it's such good lore, but and it would make for some really cool abilities, but there's just none. So I'm kind of taking the mantle of creating these abilities. So let's move on. We got Sha Torment. Summon an avatar of one of the prime Shas to attack your target for 15 seconds. Whew, this is going to be a long one. Sha of Anger. Cause your allies to erupt with anger, granting them 20% increased damage, but also increasing damage taken by 15%. Next, we got Sha of Doubt. Fill your enemies' minds with doubt, increasing their damage done by 15%. Or sorry, decreasing their damage done by 15%. Oof, almost messed that one up there. Sha of Fear. Fixate your Sha of Fear on a target. When Sha of Fear expires, fear the fixated target for 6 seconds. Sha of Despair. Your enemies slowly slip into despair, reducing their healing done / received by 5% for every 3 seconds for 9 seconds. Sha of Hatred. Your Sha erupts with hatred, dealing damage and causing your enemies' attacks to sometimes backlash and strike them for 20% of the damage dealt. So again, I thought it was pretty interesting to add one of the Shas, or like a Sha type ability. You know, the Shas are, you know, very important in terms of Pandaren lore and, you know, Mists of Pandaria lore, because Sha is the literal, it's alive, it's, you know, it feeds off of the anger and hatred, negativity, doubt, envy, all that, you know, all that bad stuff that usually corrupts man. That's what the Sha, you know, feeds off of, and it actually, you know, helps it come alive even more in an actual physical form. So I thought it was pretty cool to add a, you know, an ability like that in the form of Sha Torment. So hopefully priests are happy, but now let's move on to our last class for this video. Lastly, we got Warrior for part 1 this video. Let's see what we got here. So we got the Red One's Last Stand. The fury of Broxigard the Red flows through you, causing you to leap at a target location and unleashing piercing howl, rallying cry, or intimidating shout for free. Any enemies caught in the area are knocked down for 2 seconds and have their movement speed reduced by 40%. Again, Broxigard is honestly so underrated. I don't know why nobody talks about Broxigard. I mean, he literally did save the world. So, you know, I thought it was pretty cool to have Broxigard, who, again, wounded the Dark Titan Sargeras and is just one of the most badass characters, and went out and probably one of, if not the most badass way possible in WoW lore. So I just at least thought that making the ability after his iconic leap through the Well of Eternity to fight Sargeras and an entire legion of demons, I thought that should be an ability. So let's move on. Mountain King. Accept the power of the Mountain King and equip the mighty Fear Breaker for 12 seconds. Mortal Strike, Rampage, Overpower, and Raging Blow discharge lightning and deal 40% increased or extra damage as nature damage. Every 3 seconds, clash weapons together, creating thunderous shockwaves that deal damage to all targets in a 10-yard radius. Works while stunned. Bleeds, poisons, diseases, curses, physical and magical harmful effects have a 30% less effectiveness on you, and if you bring your target below 20% HP, crush their body into the ground, stunning the target for 1.5 seconds. So the Mountain King is obviously the most mightiest noble dwarves in you know, dwarven clans. So, and Fearbreaker is Magni Bronzebeard's weapon, who he gave to Anduin and Bane. You know, Fearbreaker was pretty cool, and again, it's a very important ability, and which isn't talked about as much as like stuff like actual like Legion artifact weapons, you know, so which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, Fearbreaker is definitely a very powerful weapon, and I thought that, you know, the Mountain King and Fearbreaker lore should be in an ability, and that is the ability we have now, Mountain King. So I thought it was pretty cool. But next we got Unstoppable Juggernaut. Place the mark of execution upon an enemy for 12 seconds. While marked, your movement speed and damage is increased by 20% so long as the target is in 15 yards in range of you. If the target is brought below 20% HP, gain a free rage cost of execute / reset the cooldown of execute, and increase its damage by 50%. So I just thought, like, warriors, why is there not like an executioner type ability in warrior? Yeah, you have like sudden death and, you know, the other execute abilities that make you charge the target, yada yada, but there's no like actual like execution ability, you know, where the lower the HP is, like the more damage, or like the more damage execute does. Like there's no ability like that. So I just thought it'd be pretty cool to have like an executioner juggernaut unstoppable force of just brutality, you know, I thought it would be a pretty cool idea to have an ability like that. But yeah, that is all the classes we have today for part 1, and of course I'm still making abilities to each and every one of these classes. Why? Because it's fun, and you know, it tests my creativity, so I'm going to continue doing it. But if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe, and definitely share this if you think it is definitely a worthy video of sharing, because you know, new spells and creative stuff like this is a topic that is long forgotten in WoW. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next life. All right, peace. Now, while on the topic of adding new stuff like spells and stuff like that, I actually wanted to talk about some ideas about new aspects of like PvP and stuff. So one of the things I've kind of thought in my head is, you know, it would be cool to add like class specific dailies for PvP. And what I mean by this is not like standard dailies like, oh, win a battleground today, stuff like that. That's like boring and stuff. You know, maybe give like a, you know, a bit of XP, like 200 or, you know, 500 XP, whatever, every day. You get like a class specific daily, and some of them can be goofy or whatever, but like, yeah, it could go like, you know what, I'm playing my Shaman today. What daily do I got? Oh, cool. Okay, it's for Elemental Shaman. Play or knock 10 players off of Eye of the Storm. You know, stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool to actually, you know, and entices people to actually, you know, play a class, or, you know, play a spec that they're not really comfortable with, but, you know, just incentivizes them to, you know, try some new things. And I thought it'd be pretty cool. Or like, hey, you know, get 10 honorable kills with Lightning Lasso, or like a talent that, you know, you don't really use. Something like that I think would be pretty cool. And like I said, it'll just push people to, you know, participate in PvP more. And, you know, it's just like a nice little refresh of just your same old dailies that we've seen since like the beginning of time. So, you know, I thought it'd be pretty cool. And another thing that I actually, you know, was thinking about is probably adding like bounties to PvP. Now, we kind of have bounties for like world PvP if somebody's going out killing everything, and they're most likely going to have a bounty on them. But that's really lame because you don't really get anything from that. It's not as fun or exciting. So I kind of was thinking about this for like battlegrounds. What if we had bounties for battlegrounds? How would they work? Well, they would work in a couple ways. So people who would be eligible for a bounty are one of many. People who either are doing a lot of damage, who are top damage, doing top healing, who are capping the most bases / returning the flags, yada yada, and, you know, people who are actually playing objectives. So if you're doing just the most damage, or you're just healing, you know, and healing everybody, doing top healing, or you're getting those points for your team and capturing those flags, yada yada, you would be eligible for a bounty. Now, the person who's bountied, if you kill them, you get, I think, like a pretty good amount of honor, like 200 honor or so. Maybe get some marks of honors, or some gold, cosmic flux, whatever. And they would be marked heavily, which means you can see them from across the map, yada yada. Maybe like a, you know, like a icon, or like, you know, like a beacon of light that's on top of them that would, you know, basically say like, hey, this guy's a bounty, yada yada. And if they're stealthy, they would still be able to stealth, but you could see them in stealth, you know, like just like if you have like the eye, you know, one of the eyes from Arena. So I thought that'd be pretty cool. I love bounties in any game. Before WoW, I mean, I was obviously a shooter type game person, so, you know, stuff like COD and even Fortnite nowadays, that where you can just get bounties on you or yourself, it just makes the game so much more fun. It incentivizes a more aggressive play style where it's like, okay, screw that flag, I see that bounty, that I see some free honor, some free gold, some free cosmic flux, I'm gonna go kill this guy. And guess what, me and 5 other players had the same idea, let's go get this guy, you know. So I just thought it was pretty cool. And if that bounty, and if you kill that guy, that bounty fails, you know, or if the bounty fails, sorry, if you can't kill that guy and the bounty fails, then, you know, whoever it goes to next, probably the rewards will be increased. So something like that, or I don't know. I think it's pretty cool to have like a bounty like that in battlegrounds, whatnot. But yeah, I just thought that would be like a nice little something to add before I end the video. But yeah, now this is the end of the video. Alright, see ya. Peace!